Veda. Chapter 4. The Source of Knowledge. In the earlier chapter, it was mentioned that the Vedas are not merely religious texts, they are regarded as a means of knowledge and the final authority, pramana, for truths that cannot be known through perception or inference. Far from being poetic compositions alone, the Vedas emphasize rigorous thinking. The allied traditions of Nyaya and Tarka Shastra systematize logic and epistemology. The Nyaya Shastra is the science of logical analysis and valid knowledge. It is the system of logic and epistemology that deals with valid reasoning or pramana, methods of debate, and the means of acquiring true knowledge. The Tarka Shastra is art of reasoning and critical inquiry. It is the discipline of reasoning and dialectics used to examine, question, and refine arguments, often serving as a tool within Nyaya. These logical frameworks recognize four valid means of knowledge. First is pratyaksha, perception. Knowledge gained through direct sensory experience. For example, seeing fire on a stove, touching a cup of tea and feel that it is hot, hearing a bell ringing in a temple. In all these cases, knowledge comes directly through the senses. No reasoning is required. Second is anumana, inference. Knowledge gained through logical reasoning based on observation. For example, seeing smoke on a distant hill and concluding there must be a fire. Noticing wet roads and infer that it must have rained recently. A student consistently scoring high marks infers they study regularly. Here, knowledge is not directly perceived but deduced using prior understanding. Third is upamana, comparison. Knowledge gained by analogy or comparison with something known. For example, someone explains a zebra looks like a horse but with black and white stripes. When we later see a zebra, we identify it using that comparison. Explaining a new language to students by comparing it to a language they already know. To make a child understand Wi-Fi, we may say it is an invisible internet like air around us. In Upamana, learning happens by relating the unknown to the known. And the fourth is Shabda, authoritative testimony. Knowledge gained from a reliable source or authority. For example, learning about black holes from a physics professor or a textbook. Following medical advice given by a qualified doctor. Or knowing historical events like ancient civilizations through documented sources. Here, knowledge comes from trustworthy testimony, especially when direct perception is not possible. The Vedas also allow us to think and question the right way. For example, in a Rig Veda hymn, there are many such questions posed. One instance mentions, "These stars which are set on high and appear at night, whither do they go in the daytime?" And another hymn wonders, "How many fires are there? How many suns? How many dawns? How many waters?" I am not posing an awkward question for you fathers. I ask you only to find out. The Vedas present a diversity of thoughts to answer these open-ended questions. While perception and inference help us understand the observable world, they fall short when addressing deeper questions. What is the ultimate reality? What happens after death? What is the nature of consciousness? Such questions lie beyond empirical verification. The Vedas uniquely address these through Shabda Pramana or revelations. This distinction is beautifully expressed in the Mundaka Upanishad. Dve vidye veditavye para cha apara cha, meaning there are two kinds of knowledge to be known, the lower apara and the higher para. Apara Vidya, the lower knowledge, includes all mathematics, sciences, arts and disciplines. Para Vidya, the higher knowledge, is that by which the imperishable reality, the Brahman, is known. Thus, the Vedas do not reject worldly knowledge, they place it in perspective, ultimately guiding the seeker toward the highest truth. They harmonize the material and the spiritual, ensuring that neither is pursued at the cost of the other. In doing so, they transform knowledge from mere information into a means of inner growth and realization. What begins as an inquiry into the world ultimately culminates in the discovery of the self.